Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a really urgent and complex situation in Sudan. We'll be looking at it through a fascinating exchange of diplomatic letters. Our goal here is to unpack the core arguments and, what they really reveal about the conflict and the UN's role.
Exactly. We're focusing on a recent letter from some Sudanese citizens to the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. And this letter is a direct response to an earlier one from June 13th, 2025. What's key here is that it presents a starkly different view, really challenging the narrative around the UN's efforts there.
Okay, let's get into it. So the core of this second letter, the citizens' letter, is a strong rejection of that first one, the June 13th one. The first letter criticized the UN Special Envoy to Sudan, Ramtain Lamamra. But this response, it claims there's more going on than just disagreement over his performance, right?
That's precisely it. What's really fascinating is they don't just disagree, they label the criticism against Lamamra as, and this is their phrase, shameful political blackmail. They explicitly link the motivations behind that June 13th letter to the United Arab Emirates. They point to rising political tensions between the UAE and Algeria, which is Lamamra's home country.
Ah, okay, so a nationality connection.
Right. And they also mention what they describe as the UAE's controversial involvement in actually supporting the armed conflict in Sudan. So their argument is judging a UN official based on their nationality. That goes against basic diplomatic norms of neutrality. It's using diplomacy as a weapon, essentially.
Right. And this is where it gets really interesting, isn't it? Because the second letter directly challenges how the first one presented the conflict itself.
Yeah.
Apparently, that June 13th letter tried to paint the Sudanese army and the Rapid Support Forces, the RSF, as sort of equal players, equal responsibility.
Yeah, and the citizens' letter pushes back hard against that. They call it a false equality.
So how do they counter it? What's their evidence?
Yeah, well, they point to brutal atrocities committed by the RSF. They cite independent reports, specifically mentioning ACLE, that's the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project. An ACLE report from November 2024 apparently attributed something like 77% of the violence against civilians.
77%, that's huge.
Exactly. Mass killings, systematic rape, destroying infrastructure. 77% lead at the feet of the RSF, according to that report. They even mention a recent attack, June 2nd, where the RSF allegedly hit a World Food Program and UNICEF convoy.
Attacking aid workers.
Yes. They call the RSF's actions explicit terrorism. So for them, the June 13th letter ignoring the RSF's primary role, they see that as a deliberate cognitive deception, a way to mislead people.
So putting this together for you, the listener, this isn't just a defense of an envoy. The citizens' letter seems to be suggesting that the whole humanitarian and political conversation is being manipulated. Yeah. What's the alleged endgame here?
Indeed. Connecting the dots, the Sudanese citizens argue that the complaints about the envoy's performance, whether on the humanitarian crisis or the political process, are frankly disingenuous. They highlight that some people and groups behind that first June 13th letter, like members of the Takakadam and Tassis alliances, allegedly have clear links to the RSF.
Okay, so direct links to one side of the conflict.
That's the claim. They specifically mention coordination involving the former Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok. He apparently resides in the UAE now, runs a UAE-linked research center, and they point to coordination between him and the RSF as more evidence of this external UAE agenda. So their core argument is the real obstacle to peace efforts isn't the UN envoy, it's the UAE's alleged role in fueling the war itself.
Okay, so after laying all that out, these pretty serious accusations and counterarguments, what are the citizens actually asking the UN to do now?
Well, first, they categorically reject the political blackmail, as they call it. They're demanding the UN reinforce its neutrality. They want more political and technical support for Envoy Lamamra so he can do his job without bowing to this kind of pressure.
Makes sense. Anything else?
Yes. Crucially, they're calling for international investigations. They want to expose any external support for the militias, and they want sanctions enforced against states that violate these rules, specifically pointing to UN Security Council Resolution 1591. That resolution already exists, calling for measures against those fueling the conflict. They're saying, enforce it.
This whole exchange really shows how complex these international situations are. Even the diplomatic communications can become, well, part of the battlefield. Definitely leaves you thinking, doesn't it? When we hear these claims and counterclaims, especially involving international bodies, how do we, as people trying to stay informed, really dig down and figure out what's genuine concern versus what might be driven by hidden agendas?